Welcome to Sharing My Truth with Mel and Susie, the uncensored version, where we bear it all.
We do.
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sharing My Truth Pod. We are so excited to chat with you guys today. We just had an awesome little interview with an amazing woman called Hanna Bier. She's an American German. She lives in Germany, but she has some incredible money advice for mostly and especially for women. Those are her clients are. She's like a money coach. She was very I think she had really great opinions on things, and although like maybe you'll agree with her or disagree with her, or you have your own opinions or questions about money in general, because it's obviously very different for every single person, because everyone has different situations with money, but she had some really great takes. Hey babes.
Hello, darling.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm fine, thank you.
And I think Mel obviously has been having to deal with money for a little bit longer than I have. But you know, I think stuff like real estate, and credit cards and, you know, just shopping in general, those are the things that I think women and just everybody are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And like, how do we get around of the things that we are needing and necessities, and like versus the stuff that we actually maybe don't need but we want to purchase anyways? Like, that's a very fine balance.
Yeah, I think she did make some good points about how do you get around the noise. Like, there's a lot of noise, particularly today, because of the so many things coming at you, social media, etc., saying you need to wear this kind of clothing for this kind of season. You should be driving this car. You should be living in this house. You should be cooking in this kitchen. Blah 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 blah, and on it goes. And it's quite pressury. And I think you have to be quite a strong personality to not get wrapped up in that. And I do think there's an element of this of, you know, the older you get, not all people, but some people just go, well, this is what I like and this is what I don't like. And they sort of they're not that bothered about other people's opinions. And I think we talked to her because she coaches women. And I think, and we've talked a lot in the last couple of episodes about single men and single women and how women's, you know, sort of relationship with marriage and children and being single and whatever is changing and what that's doing to men and all the rest of it. But we've not really talked about finances, that, you know, women are more financially independent perhaps, or getting more so, but they're still generally not very good with money. And we found this, you know, ourselves, I think, with in our personal lives, people we know. And I know a variety of different people who are good with money, women who are good with money, not good with money. What I mean by that is I think for some reason men are more confident about investing and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I think that's a huge generalization though, because I know like some of my friends, for example, who are really good. I can think of one friend who's really good at investing in real estate, made lots of money doing that. But I think there is still some stigma around it.
I think so too. And I think it's because for a lot of us, and not saying that everyone, like my mother is also very good with money. She's not very risky. But you know, there's the give and take with that, right? But a lot of women I find are like yourself, learn from their father, or they didn't learn at all because their father didn't want to teach them, or maybe their father figure wasn't there enough, or maybe just because their mother doesn't know about money, right? And like, so it's like, well, where are we gonna find these solutions about our money problems if we can't figure it out ourselves? And like, do we go to a bank? The bank is confusing. There's so much like stigma and there's like shame with money because we don't actually have any answers to the questions, and everyone says something different, right? Like, how can you invest in real estate if you can't afford it, right? Like,
100%.
How can you grow your income if you know, you're kind of in a dead-end job, or like, how do you invest? Like, do you use Wealthsimple? Do you go to the bank? Like, what do you do, right? So it's very interesting to me, and I think I would love to have, for our audience, whoever has questions after this, like, you guys can ask us on our Insta or go to our website, and you want to go to sharingmytruth.com, and, you know, send us an email or give us a voicemail of like your own money questions, and maybe we'll have Hanna back and she can answer them specifically, or we can just go through them together, and have another money manager who maybe has some more local opinions about it too.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's a very good plan,
Let's
Susie.
do it, ladies.
Let's do it.
And gents even. But yeah, so guys, here's the interview. Let us know what you think. Go to sharingmytruth.com, or you can go to Sharing My Truth on our Instas, Share My Truth Pod. and we will talk to you soon.
Yeah. Enjoy the
Love
interview.
you. And hello, Hannah. Thank you so much for joining us today on Sharing My Truth Pod. It is such a an honor to have you here. I know you're all the way in Germany. Is that correct?
That's right. I'm so
Amazing.
excited to be here. It's taken us months to schedule this, and I'm just, I've been so excited to finally get to meet you. So today feels like Christmas for me.
That is
Oh,
so
what a nice thing
sweet.
to
Oh
say.
my gosh. Well, I'm actually so excited to talk to you because I'm a girl who believes in girl math and not actual money math. So this is going to be super helpful for me, and
She
I'm
does.
sure most our audience as well. So yeah, I'm just super excited that you are available and here to chat with us today. So thank you. I want to get started just by you introducing yourself, telling our audience just who you are, where they can find you on the socials, and maybe just a quick intro on your incredible book as well.
Absolutely. So my name is Hannah. I'm half American, half German. Currently live in the south of Germany. I'm a money coach, so I help ambitious women heal their relationship with money, make oodles and oodles of money, and really live in a world of financial overflow. I also wrote a book. It's called Wealth from Within. You can find it on Amazon, and you can find me on Instagram at Hannah Money Bliss.
Perfect.
Perfect. I
Thank
love
you.
it. Well, our I think a lot of women today, like myself, are very confused and conflicted about money, and I'm sure you know all about that. And I think a lot of it starts from just the idea of you need all of these things, all of these wants that aren't really necessary for your, like actually like investing in yourself. There's a difference between investing in yourself and investing in your future. So maybe if we can start with like a little bit of talking about like why is it so hard for women to, make that initial leap into actually like investing in their like wealth for the future?
Yeah. I love that you started out by saying that money is such a complicated thing for pretty much all of us, because it's so fascinating to me that it is kind of the thing that we hardly ever talk about, right? We see all these amazing, successful people, and there are all these things to buy, and we know we should be really wealthy, but hardly anybody really knows the path to get there. And most of us live with a really complicated relationship with money. In my own life, it showed up as anytime that I engaged with money, whether it was paying a bill or going to the ATM or even just thinking about my finances, it just felt like I was being punched in the gut. And it felt so embarrassing to me because I thought to myself, like I've been to university, like I have a really good life, I've got great friends, like I'm very fit, like I can make shit happen. But why is money always kind of the last thing that just doesn't make me feel good? And it feels like so many of us feel similarly, where we can't even put our finger on why. Money is just the thing that makes us want to throw up. Like money is the thing that no matter how many books we read and how much, we think about it, we never really get to a place where it feels good.
Mhm.
And so how did you get to this place of like, that now of how to kind of create that investment in yourself and within money wise? Because I'm very similar to where you're saying your previous self was, where it's like I open my bank account and whether I do have actual money in there that I know because I just got paid or whatever happened, I'm still terrified of opening up my account for whatever reason. So how do you get to that place of like financial freedom in quotations?
Yeah. So my story starts, I guess, in my early 20s. I went to school to study international fashion management because I didn't know what else to do with myself. And then as I was in university, I learned all of these emotional healing techniques. And I then started a business as a life coach and emotional healing expert. And through that business, I cleared up a lot of my own trauma, a lot of my own emotional baggage. And then from there, I started, my business really started taking off and it started doing very well financially. And I had this aha moment where I my savings hit 17,500. I was living in Amsterdam at the time, so it was euros, 17,500 euros, the very first time in my life. And it felt like this gigantic wave of relief just washed through my body. Like it felt like for the first time I could breathe. The knowing that I didn't have to, sign a client tomorrow or worry about rent next month. Like I could take time off just to focus on myself if I wanted to. If I wanted to go on vacation, I could do that. Like I could eat out and not be completely hyperventilating on the inside and trying to play it cool on the outside. And so
Mm.
if you've been following me on Instagram, you may have heard me talk about, it's like a little joke that I sometimes, talk about. It's that money is my favorite antidepressant. And that was the thing that I discovered in that moment of just how good it feels to have this overflow of money. And I'm not a very materialistic person, especially in Germany. Like nobody cares about designer handbags or anything here. It doesn't really enhance people's status to be showing off their wealth. Before living in Germany, I lived in London. It's very different there.
Yes,
But in
yeah.
Germany, nobody,
I'm from London, so I know.
right? Like
Yeah,
people
yeah.
in London, they love to show what they've got. And it's not that way in Germany at all. And I think that's really freeing. I love that I can walk down the street and nobody knows how I'm doing financially. It's just for my own enjoyment. And so I really started setting this goal of I want to find true peace and happiness with money. I want it,
Mm.
because there are always these, I feel like every one of us, we always have this area of our lives where things are going amazingly. And it's so second nature to us that we don't even really notice it. Maybe somebody's amazing at parenting or somebody's amazing with their body where they look, so hot and they eat whatever they want and they don't even really work out. It makes no sense at all, but they've just kind of cracked the magic code in that area of their lives. And I thought to myself, if money is the thing that I'm going to have to interact with for the rest of my life, I want it to feel that good. I want it to be that effortless. I want to be that amazing at money that it's like I've got 99 problems, but money is the easiest, most flowing aspect of my life. And so this question kind of then led me on a personal journey of really wanting to be blissfully happy with money. And that's what I now teach my clients. But I've had many discoveries along the way.
And your clients, is it mostly you're helping them with like a business, personal, or the whole kind of spectrum?
The whole spectrum. So, first and foremost, this is where I started. I'm an emotional healing expert. And so I love helping my clients heal their relationship with money from the inside out. So we clear away any confidence wobbles you have around money, any places where you don't really trust that you can make wise financial choices, anywhere you don't even have a clear picture of what you want, and anywhere you're not even making a plan. So all of our internal baggage that we carry with money, we really work through that and make sure that you've got a healthy, thriving relationship with money that ensures that no matter what's going on in the economy and whatever is going on in your life, that you've got a powerful skill set that you can trust in that's going to get you through the different seasons of your life as an adult on planet Earth. And then I also teach money and business best practices. You can think of those as like recipes. They're just best practices. Like, what do I do? Because many of us, we just don't know. Like, where do I put my money? What do I invest in? Like, one person says ETFs, the other person says real estate. Like, should I rent? Should I own a house? Should I run a business? Should I work for a company? Like, right? There's all these questions. If I'm in business, how many hours a day should I work? What should I offer? What should I name it? What should I price it? And so I've got these recipes. It's like best practices, both business finances and also personal finances that I've found over the course of the years that I teach as well. And so if you're completely new with this money stuff and you may even be somehow convinced that you're bad at it, just think of it as baking. Like making money is kind of like baking. Even if you've never made chocolate chip cookies before, if we give you a recipe and the ingredients, you can make chocolate chip cookies. And so that's kind of, how my work works. So we give you the recipes and then we clear out all your stuff and make sure that you've got a really powerful, positive relationship with money.
I think it's very interesting what you say, and I want to kind of really delve into understand if you think it's really women who are particularly bad with their relationship with money. Is it a generational thing? I ask you it's generational because, I'm 51, Susie is 29, and
Well, Mel definitely has a better relationship with money than I do.
I have a very good relationship with money. And so I ask you about the female thing because one of the reasons I have a very good relationship with money is my father taught me from a very young age, again, a man, that I have to get out there and I have to work. I can never rely on a man. You have to be self-sufficient. I bought my first property when I was 23. I set up all my pensions, investments, all that stuff when I was that age. And it largely came from him. And bizarrely, I wouldn't say he's very good with money, but he made me be good with money. And I became very self-sufficient at a very young age and started on that trajectory, and sort of on it went. So I'm interested to know, do you think it's particularly male female because you deal with mostly females? Is it a generational thing? Because I assume you're millennial, right?
Yeah.
Millennial, yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, what have you kind of witnessed? What do you think?
Yeah. I'm personally most passionate about helping women become amazing with money because for me, it's a matter of power. It's about
Mhm.
women
Sure.
becoming comfortable with being powerful, with having influence, with having agency over their own lives. That's like my
Mhm.
hidden feminist agenda with all of this is that I love it when women really discover how good it feels to be powerful and the fact that it's safe to be powerful. And so historically speaking, at least in the last, let's say, 2000, 3000 years, women have been, robbed of their power, not used their power, been restricted in their power in some way. And so I think for many of us it just feels really uncomfortable to have that much freedom and that much security and that
Mhm.
much fun and you can buy everything that you want and then still have a bunch left over. You can be
Mhm.
seen and loved for who you are. You can get paid for doing what you love. That's often I feel like for many women, especially for me when I first started out, this felt too good to be true. And being that
Mhm.
powerful felt so weird because I didn't know any women in my life who were truly in their power in that sense of the word. Whereas men from an early age, like, they're being taught that the world is their oyster and that being powerful is, their birthright. And so our socialization is slightly different.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with all of that. And I mean, just telling you my story, when I was 23 and doing all these things, all my friends out thought I was completely nuts. They're like, "Yeah, who cares about a pension? Who cares about buying an apartment? Just relax." I'm like, "No, I can't relax because the time will go, right?" But it does come from somewhere. You got to That's what I'm saying, either somebody's taught you, somebody's raised you, your relationship with money does come from somewhere, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it
Um,
does.
yeah.
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 Well, yeah, my mom always said, and I love what you said here. It's like money is power. That's what she always said to me too. And so, but there's something else my mother gave me, which was a shopping addiction. And so and it's like that's something obviously that I've had to live with where it's like buying things makes me feel good. And I think a lot of other women have this within themselves, which
Mhm.
is like a very real thing. And we love to shop. And I mean, you're gorgeous, obviously. So like I don't know if this is natural beauty or you get your hair done, you get your eyebrows done. Like there are things
Mhm.
that women have to, like in quotations, have to buy because we live in a society that makes us have to look pretty, like all of
Mhm.
these things that like,
Right.
we have to buy all these things that make us feel better about ourselves. And like that, I mean, we're here in Toronto where it's more of a city. So it's sort of like London. You want to buy designer stuff. You want to kind of treat yourself to that kind of
It's
thing.
competitive.
Very
Yeah.
competitive and you want to look your best. So, what do you say to the women who like are like, well, I absolutely want to be financially free in that, but I also can't give up, my necessities in quotes, like of like getting my makeup, getting my hair done, like all of these things that we can't give up if we want to be even successful in the society.
I love what you just touched on because it's so true. Like a man can look like warm cottage cheese, roll out of bed in the morning, and be so successful, right?
Yeah.
They can
Yes.
have like the personality of like, I don't know, a block of cheese and they can, do you know
No,
what I mean? Yeah.
seriously.
Even
And
just
they
for us to
also
be respected, like we have to look the part and that takes time.
Yes, exactly.
and you
Especially in
need
cities
and
like
you need a
ours.
lot of stuff. Like my husband gets in the shower and he literally has one bottle of Head and Shoulders that, quite frankly, I think you could wash the toilet bowl with.
The
It's like
four in
made. It's
one.
got so many chemicals in, and then he's got some other thing that costs him like $5, and a deodorant stick. And he
It's just never gonna be
travels.
us. It's never gonna
He
be
travels,
us.
he has a deodorant sticker, and he come and he looks fine, and it's just like, and there I am with all my products. I mean, I probably take it a bit far, but whatever, I like it, and we've gotta have our thing, but it's still, I can't look like he does getting out the shower, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
It
so well,
doesn't.
how do we still have our things? Like, do we just like maybe write the like our necessities that maybe we need. So like we need a mascara. Do you know what I mean? And then like
Yeah.
get those things, and then we can splurge on one thing a month, or like what is it that you tell your clients of like how to kind of, you can still have what you want, but there are things you need to cut. Like, is there something specific that you tell your clients, ladies specifically?
Absolutely not, because there are trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars floating around planet Earth right now. Like, try and Google what it means, and then you will still not comprehend it. Like, there is no way for the human brain to comprehend, the trillions of money that are floating around the planet right now. And even if you were to ask for a salary of 1 million a day, that is still a tiny, 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 tiny amount of from the money that is circulating all the time. So
Mhm.
you have access to infinite money making opportunities all the time. So you can generate as much money as you would like and buy pretty much whatever you want. My personal approach is just that, like, I want to take excellent care of my body. Like, I want to look like myself and feel amazing because it brings me joy. It brings me happiness. I love it when I present myself to the world in a way that feels congruent. When I look energetic, when I look as energetic and as glowing and as healthy as I really feel. So no shame in taking excellent care of your body. It's like we have only one car that gets us through our entire lifetime. Why wouldn't you take excellent care of that car? Why wouldn't
Mhm.
you completely and totally shower with love and anything that it needs? Just do that with like gusto and passion and love it. And, just blow all the money on yourself and really learn to be an amazing moneymaker so that the money that you do blow on yourself is peanuts,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
there is so much money going around. Why wouldn't you help yourself to however much feels wonderful for you?
Yeah. I mean, this feels like my mantra.
Yeah, seriously.
But I think the other thing I would say is the more money you make, or certainly I've found the more money you make, you have children, the more money you need to spend. Like you go up a ladder. It is a ladder. But I know, I mean, that is very true. And that you can have, enjoy the simple pleasures. I do think though that, and this, I hate to sound like, the old lady here, but it does, the older you get, the less you care about stuff, the more, or certainly I've felt, the more I do what I want to do. And I'm less interested in what people think about me. I mean, I do like nice handbags and products and whatever, but I like them. So, but I do still find you can have pleasure in simple things. But I think, particularly with social media and the world we live in, there's a lot of pressure for particularly young women to look a certain way, which is totally unattainable because it's all garbage in the first place and nobody actually looks like that. To dress this way, how many videos are there about what's in season and what boots I should buy and what
Yeah, I mean, there's
bag?
so
And
many like tricks
yeah,
that people use to get you to spend your money on
yeah,
things you don't actually need. So how can you actually like be like, make sure you're focused on like your actual money goals? Like,
Yeah.
is there some kind of a recipe that you have that like makes it so that you are focused on your actual money goals and you don't need a lot of this crap, right? Like we don't. We want to spend our money on things we actually want and need that will actually last us. Um, but is there something that like if a woman's having a trouble actually like not like spending money on things that they don't need, like what is the
Yeah.
solution?
I know it's really hard to maintain a strong sense of self in such a consumerist world that constantly tries to tell you you're not enough and what you need to be buying in order to be enough. It's like the carrot is constantly being dangled and nobody's ever really arriving. And that's the thing that really rubbed me the wrong way when I first really shifted into money coaching, was that the messages that I saw around me were always about make more money, make more money, make more money, make more money. But it's like this endless race to where? Like, where are we even going? And then I realized that so many of us, like, we don't even have this clear picture of what our ideal financial reality would look like. Like, we haven't even really decided, who am I? How do I want to live? Like, where do I want to be in my life? And with my clients, when we really get so clear on what would fit them, I always tell them, like, if you're a frog, you belong in a pond. If you're a giraffe, you belong in a savanna. You live in a world that tells you that you should be an elephant or you should be living in the jungle. Like, we really need to make sure that we know how you're wired and that we know what money goals kind of fit you. I'm quite sensitive, so I'm clairvoyant. I see energy. And with my clients, I always love to kind of figure out what I call their soul money goals, like the perfect income
Hmm.
number and the perfect savings number and the perfect net worth number, so that they have a really clear picture of what they're working toward, so that they can stay really focused on that and not be so distracted by the noise. And then money is an amazing opportunity to really work on that sense of self, to really discover ourselves and discover what makes us feel good. For me, I learned that I love having money. I don't love needing to get more money. I love having money. In that moment where my savings first hit 17,500 and I had this amazing, healing experience, I realized, oh, you know, I really love having money. I love savings. Like this is my favorite thing. And so it's so freeing to kind of discover our own soul path with money and be able to opt out of the noise.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw something interesting the other day on it's probably TikTok because I scroll through TikTok, and it was one of these kind of American money guru people who said that most people in the United States, something like 73%, it's a very high number, don't know what if they're in a couple what their actual income is. They don't actually know what they're earning. And you sort of think about that and you're like, that's completely nuts. But actually, if you think about it, the way society is wired now today, you have a man, if we're talking about a male and female couple, both working full time, they've got children. I mean, there's barely time to sit down to breathe. So all these things go to the back burner and it seems like nuts, but they're not planning for their retirement. They have no idea. They're just getting through the day, getting through the week, getting through. And we have created that society where it's very difficult. If you're working for a corporation, you're working 9 to 5, or realistically in North America, 8 till 6, 8 till 7, and then you've got children. There's barely time for your relationship, let alone anything else, which is like managing your finances and whatever. You just kind of fumble through. And I think a lot of people do that. They just fumble on because they don't want to deal with it. And if they talk about it, then it makes it real and that makes it scary. And the time factor. I mean, I know it sounds kind of ridiculous, but I think that's, to me, what I think a lot of people are in that space, right?
Absolutely. And it's such a trap because if you don't know how much money you're making and where your money is going and where your money is going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you can't plan your life. If you then
Yeah.
decide, maybe we want another child, maybe we want to downsize or buy a bigger home, or maybe we want to take a sabbatical, or maybe I want to work, you know, only 50% from now on. Maybe I want to start my own business. It's like you can't plan any of this stuff because you don't even have any data to work with. And for so many
Mm.
of us, even just looking at the numbers is so extremely confronting because somehow the numbers say you're not enough, you're not getting paid enough, you're not doing well enough, the money is slipping through my fingers, I'm a loser. That's what my money kept. When I looked at my numbers, it felt like that's what it was saying to me. And so why would I want to look at that over and over and over again? And
Yeah, that's
so
a good point.
but in a way, we really trap ourselves. So often my clients are like, I really want to work less and I want to make more money. I'm like, let's look at your numbers. And they have nothing. Like they haven't looked at their numbers in so long. So we can't make a plan. And so we can't change the situation. And then we're just kind of running running into the future by default. Like we can't really steer our destiny. And that can be a really scary place to be.
Yeah, for
So is
sure.
there like when we talk about financial freedom, I think that's just a term that we use pretty loosely. But what do you think is financial freedom? Is it just like not living paycheck to paycheck, or like what does that look like with your clients? If someone wants to, like if someone says they want to be financially free.
Yeah, I think the most popular definition of financial freedom is when you're able to live off of the interest of your money that is invested. For example, you've got 1 million invested and you get a certain amount back, can you live off of that where you don't have to work, but your money kind of, the interest that you get pays for your life. That's the most, so you're completely financially free in that sense. That's the most popular definition. My definition of financial freedom is when you don't think about it anymore. I used to think about money 24/7. Like, I would be lying awake at night and be like, "I don't have a plan for my future. I don't know where my next client is gonna come from. What am I gonna, have for lunch tomorrow? It has to be cheap." oh my God, I'm still behind on my money goals. I feel so embarrassed. Friends of mine just bought their second home. How the hell are they doing it? The internet says that I should be earning a gazillion every single month. I feel like such a loser. Like that was the internal dialogue in my head all the time. And so even when I was supposed to be hanging out with my friends and having fun and, being young and sexy, like I was not feeling that way at all. I was just so stressed out. And then as my money started going better and better and better and better, I realized that the biggest financial freedom for me is when my money is going so well and I've got my goals set up and I know I'm achieving all of them and everything is so great that I really don't have to think about money. Like that to me is the greatest luxury. And even now, with Grace, just when she was born, I just loved that I could take as much time off as I wanted. I love
Mhm.
that I could work because I wanted to, not because I had to. And I love that I could, choose which clients I wanted to take on and choose what I wanted to offer and just, be really present with her without there being a backstory in my mind of like, if I don't work, I won't achieve my financial goals. And so that's the emotional and mental freedom with money that I love so much.
But don't you think that really applies for people who work for themselves? Like, I mean, I've worked for myself now for, been self-employed, have my own company for, I don't know, 20 years or something. But if you're working for a corporation and have a corporate job, you can't do that. You can't just go, you're ruled by what they want. And you may have this kind of job or the kind of career that you can't do on your own, if you get my drift. You can't go off and set up your own thing. So then what do you do?
Yeah, my hot take is that all of us are entrepreneurs in my eyes. Whether you're selling
Mm.
your services to individual people, to other companies, or whether you're selling yourself to a company in exchange for a contract, you're still a business in my eyes financially. You still have an income, you
Mhm.
still have expenses, you still have a profit. It's just that your client is a company that you work for and you agree to
Mhm.
that contract in the same sense that if I, sell an offer to a client, there's a contract involved and, this is what we're going to deliver during our time together. So so many of my clients are entrepreneurs, many of my clients are still in corporate. And so for my corporate clients, that's always where we start, where I say, you're a business and you're in sales. Whether you like it or not, all of us are, and you're currently selling your services for this amount of money to that company. And so this actually, this mindset shift gives us more space to really think about where do you want to be financially and what are your opportunities? Because very often people just kind of think they just really feel limited in the sense that they're an employee, but there is often a lot more leeway and possibility when we just shift our mindset into, being a salesperson.
Advocating for yourself, like getting a better, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think women are very bad at it. I think men are much better advocating for themselves, getting pay rises, stuff like that. And women are always are more scared of it.
Very bad at asking for what they want
Mm.
because we've never wanted to rock the boat because we've been taught to kind of just do what we're told. That's like, I think what a lot of us, I think less now with Gen Zs, for whatever reason, they're coming into their power a little bit more. But I think millennials, I believe you're a millennial like me as well. So it's just, we have this thing, I think, for all of us, we're like, don't rock the boat, like, be a good girl and just listen to what you're told. So, like, how do you even change your mindset to being like, no, I should ask for what I want. This is ridiculous. I deserve this is what I deserve, and this is how I can ask for it. Like, how do you even go about getting yourself into that mindset?
Yeah, there's a little game I play with my clients, and it's called Am I Living from Fear or Am I Living from Choice? Am I living from
Mm.
fear? Am I living from choice? And it's quite an advanced game. Some of my clients hyperventilate when I first give them that homework, but it really starts with beginning to choose your way through your day. So instead of saying, oh, I have to get up and I have to go to work and I have to wash my hair again and I have to, get my tires pumped up again and whatever is on your mind, you say, I choose to get up. I choose to go to work today. I choose to work for this company. I choose to fulfill on my contract. I choose to have this conversation with my superior. I choose to not ask for a promotion. And so it really reminds us of the fact that every single moment of our lives is a choice.
Mhm.
And so from that place, people have all these insights about, wow, I am choosing to work with this company. I could make a different choice. Or wow, I am choosing to not, put myself forward about this promotion, or I am choosing to, to not use this meeting with my superior to talk about a potential bonus package or to renegotiate it. And so it's often like this exercise really is about looking in the mirror and really noticing all the things that you're choosing and then being able to reevaluate all the tiny choices that you're making throughout your day. And it also just brings us into this place of power, saying I choose to really puts us in a place of responsibility about how our life is going. And so it's really just
Mhm.
a tiny, shift in language, right? Like you're just starting every single sentence, every single thought slightly differently, but it changes lives like so, so quickly. And from there, many people like they at some point like the penny drops and they can't not begin to honor themselves. Because then they realize the reason why my life is unfolding the way it's unfolding is because of me. And at
Yeah.
some point they get so angry. Like I always, sometimes my clients get up in the morning and they're just so pissy and angry with themselves. And I just can't help but like celebrate and be so happy because I know that as soon as that fire is stoked, they're finally willing to not treat themselves like a doormat anymore. Like
Mhm.
I don't even need to coach them. I don't even need to tell them what to say. Like they rock up at work and they finally have the conversation that they know they should have had 5 years ago. But I love the living from choice versus living from fear, game so much. And so as a summary, you ask yourself, am I living from fear or am I living from choice in this moment? And then you start every single thought, every single sentence in your life with I choose to and try it.
Yeah.
Like it's advanced level humaning. It's so good.
It's amazing.
It's a mindset. And I think mindset is very important. It can change, the way you approach things 100%. If you I was always taught to put myself to sort of be uncomfortable, to put yourself in situations where outside of your comfort zone, right? And I was forced at quite a young age to kind of do that, and then just started doing that. And then that sounds a bit like sort of draconian, but it's like it makes you do stuff that maybe your personality wouldn't have made you do. But sometimes you have to do that. You have to be confrontational if you're not confrontational. You have to advocate for yourself if you're not very good at it. You have to make that choice. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
a great question to ask yourself is how bad does it need to get before you do the thing that you've known all along you needed to do?
Mhm.
Because at this
Mhm.
point, we're just wasting time, right? Like, we all know what
Totally.
needs to be done. We're so intelligent. Like, if a friend came to you and they just happen to have the exact same financial situation as you, the exact same financial problems, you can tell them exactly what to do. Like this. You would
Mhm.
give excellent on point advice that would be so simple and so practical, so actionable. Like, it would fix their entire money issue in like a day. Right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you know what to do, but the question is just, are you willing to love yourself enough to do it? And are you willing to honor your time on this planet enough to keep that promise to yourself? Like you said, to go through the discomfort in order to love and honor yourself in this way? Or are you gonna wait and then what's it gonna take? Like how bad does it have to get? How many
Mhm.
more years do you have to trample all over yourself until you finally honor yourself enough to speak up?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. I feel like I actually have done that before. I've never called it choice or fear. But like I do like when I'm like because we've all been in shitty jobs before. Like I mean maybe not all of us, but I think like
No,
most
no.
most of
Let's
the
hope.
world has been through a shitty job.
Mhm.
And like it's you have to ask yourself and you have to get to that point of like literally like what more can I handle before I literally go off the walls or
Mhm.
like I literally have to like just like quit in a dramatic way or like and you have to make that choice for yourself of let's make sure that we are living for ourselves instead of living for this job or like a situation that we actually don't want to be in. So yeah, I love what you said there. I want to talk a little bit about um like budgets and how I think a lot of people who are trying to invest and build their financial future work within budgets. And like I've always been really bad at budgets because if I see something I want, I likely buy it. So that's my bad. But I think you have an interesting, really opinion about budgets, and I'd love for you to kind of explain that to our audience and like how does one even start making a budget?
Yeah. So I personally, I don't use a budget. I only ask myself the question, does this profit me? Like, does this
Mhm.
purchase profit me? Is it going to bring me more money? And here's where I'm a little weird. So even when I think about buying a dress or buying clothes or buying shoes, I'll think, if I buy this, am I going to make more money as a result of it? Like, is buying this like bright orange, Muppet looking sweater, is it going to make me feel so confident that it's going to make me more money in the long term? I like to so it's kind of like a spin-off of the whole, only buy appreciating assets, not depreciating assets. And so that's what
Mhm.
I think about in my everyday purchases all the time. Like, is this really going to add to my life? Is it really going to, um, make me more money in the long term? Is like my skincare the best skincare that I can have? Is like my clothes going to make me look and feel so amazing that it's going to make me more money? And so that's always kind of what I think about. And then the other piece is, as your sense of self worth kind of increases, the more your standard gets raised. And something that has happened for me is that I'm not willing to hurt myself anymore to get what I want. So previously I would have had like really expensive skincare and like a 15-step routine. Now my skincare is so simple. Like I use hardly anything, and it's insanely cheap, but I just kind of found a way for me to take excellent care of my skin without needing to hurt myself financially. And so sometimes it's also just we need to kind of question the cognitive bias of thinking that when something's more expensive, we honor ourselves more by buying it.
Mhm.
But it's more the question of, are you finding the right thing for you? Are you buying the things that really add to your life that 20 years from now, you'll think back and you'll be like, wow, I'm so glad I used this product, or wow, I'm so glad I bought this sweater. Are you going to show your grandkids that photo of that one dress that you found on the sales rack, and they can't even believe how hot you looked, when you were the age that you were at the time? And so that's more what I think about when it comes to a budget. And as my standard, gets higher and higher, I'll buy significantly fewer things. But the things that I buy, I keep for a much longer period of time. And they really enhance my life so significantly. And it doesn't feel restrictive at all.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds very admirable. I'm not sure many people do that. I don't think anybody does that. I mean, the only thing I think, like, yeah, I understand what you mean by thinking about things. And, I don't think I go through that thought process, but I think about, like, this is like when I was younger, I would have bought lots and lots of stuff, and I'm a lot less like that now. Maybe I don't have to go through the same thought process, but and I do have like patterns of things that I buy. Like I love handbags. I'm a little obsessed with handbags, and I will like very expensive handbags. I'll buy something that will last for a very long time. So I wouldn't buy a red handbag from a designer. I'd buy a black one because that would last a long time. And if I wanted a red handbag, I'd buy something maybe from a low, like I wouldn't spend the crazy money. But I'm not sure that people can be that. You sound very, very secure in who you are, how you project yourself to the world, and I'm not sure. That's very difficult for people to go. I'm going to buy this dress in wherever because I'm going to make more money, because you're not, are you? I mean, you just want the dress because you look good. But I mean, can you do that? Can everyone do that?
Yeah, that's my hot take, I guess. Like that's yeah, that's my perspective on it all. I do believe that when we feel our best and we present ourselves to the world in the way that we want to be perceived, that
Right.
does make us more money.
Yeah.
Like if I were sitting here like a little mouse being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
like it would be it's different." We do need to have and develop a strong sense of self, especially as we mature as women. And I think the clothes we wear and the way that we take care of ourselves, that does contribute in a really big way. But I also want to circle back to something you talked about previously when you talked about your history with money and the fact that you started investing so early. It's the idea of opportunity cost.
Mhm.
Like all the money that you blow on stuff that does not matter, that you will not remember in 2 years. All the clothes that just land on a land, end up on a landfill, or all the TikTok beauty trends that are just going to mess up your skin barrier, right? We've all tried it. like all the ways in which you treat yourself like a guinea pig, all the ways in which you're refusing to even know yourself and you just throw whatever at you in order to try and patch up this feeling of not being good enough. In the meantime, you could just be holding on to that money and letting it grow. So
For sure.
all the money that we're blowing, we're missing out on. Like, there's a gigantic opportunity cost here. And so I think it is it's a like we need to train a new way of thinking and a new way of calculating, like it's like advanced girl math, hopefully, like the next iteration of girl math, where we really begin to enjoy, thinking about the different possibilities and the different choices that we're making with money and really asking the question, is this going to benefit me in the way that I wanted to? Like,
Mhm.
does this honor me at the level that I really wanted to? You know, buying this designer handbag, is that gonna be worth it to me? Or would I rather have this money sit and then turn into
Mhm.
more money, decades down the road? And there is no right and no wrong path. Like, I love blowing my money. Like, it's so much fun. Like, I love buying beautiful things. And at the same time, every choice comes with a benefit and every choice comes with a consequence. And I think as we grow up as women, part of that maturing is to begin to have these conversations with ourselves and to be really honest about whether we're honoring ourselves in that moment or just taking advantage of ourselves by making, incongruent financial choices.
No, I think that's a very good point. Just the message, just think about it, what is it actually doing for you is a very good message. I don't know how we get it out there in
Yeah.
such a commercially, driven world, and, the push to look a certain way, dress a certain way. I mean, you talked about living in Germany and how it's less pressure filled. Like I said to you, I'm from London, and that is not, it's not a thing.
But
It's
I
just not
do
a thing.
think here's what gives me hope. So I do think that even within all the like transient beauty things, like one day you have to have a big butt and then the big boobs and then the
Yeah.
right, like what's it? I've got like such a chubby face, but so many people like remove their
What?
buccal
I'm
fat
like, no, you
here.
don't. Shut up.
I had some microneedling done the other day and I was like, "Don't use the RF. Don't remove like all the jiggle in my face cuz like I love,
Funny.
looking like an actual human being. Like I don't if I take off my makeup, I don't want to look like a corpse with like, sunken in cheekbones and
Uh-huh.
stuff. But that's the trend right now. So I'm just giving it
Mhm.
an example for like all the different beauty trends and everything that we're going through. And so often, it does feel like we look outside of ourselves and we're like, what am I supposed to look like this today? And what are the trends? And, who do I need to be in order to succeed in this world? And I really do believe that a strong sense of self trumps all of that. When
Oh,
you
yeah.
really feel
Yeah.
so confident with yourself and you take yourself as you are and you're so happy with all of your flaws and imperfections and you're rocking it, where you take like the imperfect person that you are and you're just bringing out the best in you, then like the trends can come and go and it kind of doesn't matter. You don't have to
Mhm.
wear designer clothes and yet everybody will turn around and stare at you when you walk down the street. So I feel like so often with everything that we're buying or that we could buy, it's just a band-aid. It's not really a solution because at the end of the day, we still have to face ourselves and come home to ourselves and learn to love ourselves. And once we do that, we do get this irresistible charisma that opens incredible doors for us in this world. So for anybody listening who's like, I know, like it's so stressful to try and keep up with this consumer culture, maybe you could just opt out of that entirely and, take a different path and just really, work on your sense of self instead and learn to hold on to yourself throughout the different seasons of whatever's on trend that day.
Totally.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. I mean, like, as someone
Yeah.
who's like a, self-proclaimed shopaholic, like, I do my best to buy secondhand for a lot of my
You
designer
do.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I love that because it's like it's barely used. And also I feel like I'm doing something better for the environment. And also like with my big new purchases, I'll make sure that they're like I know I'm gonna wear them forever. Like those are the things that like I'm gonna buy, but like I'm gonna have them for years and they're really great quality. I think, that's something that a lot of us younger women are doing. It's because shopping online is so easy and like it's just and then we never return stuff because that's a pain. And
Mhm.
so like
Mm.
that's something that we maybe have to like overcome. It's because it's just made it so much easier to kind of consume things we
Mhm.
don't actually need, which I've gone through that path. So happy that's not my life anymore, but like a lot of people just have to go through it to learn. I really want to talk about something that I think you also have a hot take about, which is real estate, really quick. Because I think we're in Toronto. Toronto is a ridiculous housing market, where it's almost impossible to buy a home if you don't have family help or anything like that because it's just so expensive. And a lot of the main cities in Canada are like that. And unless you have an amazing job that's paying you a ginormous amount or you have a dual income or whatever, you're most likely never going to own a home. So like obviously I rent for the moment. Hopefully that changes when I find a partner or whatever happens. But yeah, it's a very I think it's a lot of people find housing, and the real estate market very stressful because it's just very up and down, and you wanna make the right decision, you wanna invest, but I don't know what your thoughts are on real estate, and obviously it's different in every country and every city, so, what do you tell your clients of like, "Oh, like, I know, I wanna own my own home, like, how do I go about that?"
Yeah, it really is so specific to each person. I think the thing that most rubs me the wrong way is the idea that everybody needs to invest in real estate, because
Mhm,
for many of my clients, it's just not the right next step for them. When I look at their
mhm.
finances, when I look at their life goals, when I look at the season of life that they're in, and they're being told everybody needs to invest in real estate now and you have to do it now and it's the only way to be financially secure now, it often creates so much pressure and stress for them. And I actually really disagree. I'm somebody, I invest, my investments are growing in a way that I'm really happy with. And yet I do not own any real estate. Like, I've lived in so many different countries and so many different cities. I move every 2 to 3 years. I love moving. I've got, like, real commitment issues with living in one place. That's just how I'm
Wow.
wired as a person. And so for years, I was thinking about, "Oh, I should be buying, I should be buying, I should be buying, and now or never," and then I just discovered all these other perspectives. Like, there's one perspective that says if you rent and you increase your income and you invest your money, you could be ending up with a lot more money at the end of your life. So it really is so specific to each person. It depends on your job, where you live, how many kids you have, what season of life you're in. And so I disagree with the blanket, advice everybody needs to be owning real estate because that's just not the case for so many of us.
Yeah, I mean, I do have quite a lot of real estate, but I invested young, and I understand that the properties I bought at a sort of varying over sort of 20-year period, some of them trebled, doubled in value, and I'm not a boomer because they really really managed to um sort of make the most of it. But it's true, like our generation bought something and literally a year later it was double, treble, whatever. So, and I do agree that we are forced, particularly actually in the UK, it is an ethos like everyone has to own a home. I don't think it's actually a very continental European thing because a lot of French people, Italians, Spanish, Germans, they rent. In the UK, we just don't do that. We're like programmed to buy a house. It's like you have to do that. And you otherwise there's something wrong. What's wrong with you? Like it's just the way people think. And I think you're right. If you actually looked at the numbers, you got to look at the numbers. And then there is this, I think, this other issue people buy homes and they think I have to have the nicest kitchen and I have to have this and that. And you're like, how much money have you spent that you do not have that you've borrowed? You do not need $100,000 kitchen of money you don't have. I think that's something we need to get people like you see all this. It sort of all started with apps like House and Pinterest and whatever, where people are like, I have to have my kitchen looking like this and whatever, and you can't afford it. Why are you
Yeah.
doing it?
Dave
know?
Ramsey calls it being house poor.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so
It's exactly that.
I have a client who built an amazing beachside home, like gigantic, so beautiful, just chef's kiss, like the most stunning home in Australia.
Mm.
And then they completed the house, and the entire family was like, "We don't wanna live here." And so they
Oh,
moved into a smaller house. But the
Right.
conversation that they had with themselves was like, "We built this dream house, how come we don't wanna live here?" It was because they admitted to themselves, "We like cozy. We like small. We don't like being
Right.
house poor. Like, if we sell this house, we make a gigantic profit, and we just have money to spend." Like the kids are
Absolutely.
young. We just want to travel. We just want to blow this money on like a boat or just do something silly with it, you know? And so one thing so when we talk about real estate and investing and all of those personal choices to make, I just want my clients to really think about it from a couple different angles and really consider their life situation and their goals and their personalities and all of those things. So I really can't give like blanket advice because it's so individual to each person. But the one thing that we do talk about is that we don't want you to be house poor. Because life's too short to have all of your money, in one property or just in real estate in general. Like that's not diversified. And also, at the end of the day, you can't take it with you. I know you can give it to your children and stuff, but like we also want you to really enjoy your life. And so to be, just barely getting by and living in the biggest house, like that makes no sense as well. But yeah, I know it's so seductive to be like, "Oh, I can live in this house and have that kitchen and it can look like
Mm.
that." But I've lived in really big, amazing designer homes before, and I love the right-sized home for me. Like, I don't like a gigantic home. I like to have my swing in the living room, the trampoline in the backyard. I like to have, a cozy, gigantic sofa, and then a couple of, guest rooms for when people stay over. And, like, that's it for me. Like, I'm so happy living this way. I don't like having a gigantic house and then, you know, I don't know. It's just I like it like small and cozy. And I think that, especially with my clients often have this idea of what it looks like to be successful, where they have like the
Mm.
laundry list of things that they think they need to have in order to feel that they've made it. And then we make that happen and they're like, huh, I don't actually want that at all. And I'm like, great. You've just learned
Yeah.
amazing skills with money. And now you can just, everything that you've built, you could just give yourself what you actually want.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe in real estate, but I do believe in what you're saying that it depends on the person. And I wish people wouldn't be like, I know so many people here who are so highly leveraged, who've got mortgages of like a million and a half, gives me a heart attack. It's like, are you out of your mind? No, you don't. If you need to be borrowing that much money, then maybe you need a smaller house. But there's this idea that you need this big house, like I said, with this amazing kitchen, with this fancy car and whatever. And in my world, if you can't afford it, if you don't have the cash, you don't buy it. You get the smaller home. But I don't think we're not programmed to, there's so much pressure and people judge you. And going back to this thing, I think women are the worst. In my experience, you walk into a room, women sort of do this data analysis of like, what has she got on? What is her handbag? It's like a scan thing, right? And I've had that so many times. And like, what is on her? How big is her diamond? And it's like, but you've got to be, like you said, a strong person to just go, I don't give a whatever what you
Yeah.
think,
The point of
but
my
you've
life
got to
is
be
to
strong.
make me happy. That's how I see it.
Right.
The point of my life
Yeah.
is to make me happy. That's the whole point. If there was any reason as to why I'm down here, it's just to have a ton of fun and to do exactly what pleases me. And so I want every single choice that I'm making in my life to be something that really pleases me and makes me happy,
Mhm.
And so what if, I know we're not supposed to be wearing skinny jeans anymore, says Gen Z. So what if I wear
I
skinny
know
jeans and I feel
we're both
amazing in them?
well, I'm wearing skinny jeans. I don't care. I wear them anyway.
Heard
Yeah, no,
that's
buck the
that's the
trend.
memo. We need to
Oh,
stop
I
wearing
know.
skinny jeans.
I 100%
No,
know
I actually
that.
think they're coming back.
I think they are coming
You heard
back.
it first.
Yeah, I got rid of so many clothes that I should have kept because they all came back again. It drives me nuts. One other question I did on the like we talked about real estate, is another thing I saw in some of your content is that you also don't believe in credit cards or credit card points. Is that right? I got that
Yeah,
right?
at some point. Okay, so this kind of circles around the idea of my money going so well and growing so wonderfully that I don't really think about it much. And so I know many
Mhm.
people like they're so good at the credit card math and the points and the everything, but to
My
me,
husband's very good at it.
right? I love people who are so good at it. I'm like, "Oh my god, if this is fun for you, what a cool hobby to have." Like, you're pretty much like,
I don't
you're
get it, no.
amazing at this. This is so cool. But if
Yeah.
somebody is just like not feeling it, like me, like I don't mind spending more money on stuff. Like I can
Right.
always make more money. Like I can always just, do you know what I mean? Like I'm always
Yes, I
happy to
do.
just make more money. So it's almost like I'd rather not deal with all the credit card and the points and all that, like that whole game. I'd rather not even learn it or not even do it. It's so much easier for me to just make a bunch of money, you know?
Fair enough.
And so I've
Fair
just
enough,
at
yeah.
some point I've just stopped because it was always on my list of like, and you need to figure this one out and you should be doing that. Because of course it's brilliant. I mean, if you can get a bunch of flights like for free and that's like great.
Mhm.
But I'm like, but I could also just pay for it, you know? And so I like to
Yeah.
have my finances like really simplified, really lean. Um, I like to look at it in one glance and see exactly what's going on. And so I'm quite a minimalist. Like I like everything really tidy and everything in its place. And I like my finances in the same way. And so when something becomes a little too complicated or takes up my time in a way that I don't enjoy, that I'm so happy not doing it, even though I know that I could be making some money or I could be saving money. But really, to me, it doesn't matter in the big picture.
Right. It's eating up space in your kind of energy and head. I
Yeah.
get it. If you're good at it, you're good at it. And you can actually it's crazy. And you have to
Yeah.
be obviously very careful not to keep buying to get the points because then
Well, then you
you
gotta
shouldn't
pay
be
back the
buying.
money.
Yeah. Shouldn't be buying the shit in the first place. You should be only doing it if you're buying the stuff. But yeah, it takes a lot to work it out, and certain credit cards are good for certain things, and it's like a whole math thing.
Yeah, if you're good at it, that's great.
Yeah.
I just have never. I'm like, if I don't have to think about paying more money back to somewhere with like including interest, like I would rather not.
Yeah.
So like I want to be sure I can just pay that right out and I can
Yeah.
afford it. That was not always me, but like I think we learn from our mistakes with credit cards. Where
Yeah.
it's like you do
Same
not want to be in
here.
credit card
I
debt.
love
Yeah.
paying in
Yeah.
cash for everything. Like, I remember when I bought my car, I rocked up to the dealership with like actual cash money, and they were like, "We don't even know what to do with that. What do you mean you're going to buy
No.
a car today?" I'm like, "Don't have a car. You know, I just moved from London to Germany, so I need a car because in London I was taking cabs and the underground." And so I was just like, "I need a car. You're a dealership. Show me your cars. I'm going to buy a car today. And here, I've got money. I
Cash.
brought money,
Wow.
cash money." Because I was like, "I need a car today. So, like, what can you make happen?" And they looked at me like I was crazy. They're like,
Oh
"Well,
yeah, he must have done.
yeah." And I'm
They
like,
must have
"Wait,
done. They must have
that's
thought like what's
fine."
going on.
But like
Yeah.
any car that I would buy in cash, and you know, the point was, so I've got a toddler, so everything is sticky in our car. It is. I can't tell you how disgusting it is. Our car is full of sticks, rocks, and then all the crumbs and like the sticky, you know, from the juices. Like our car is
I
disgusting.
get it.
So I bought a
I get
really
it.
nice car, but I knew that this is gonna be ruined, like absolutely destroyed. And so we're gonna drive it until I'm done with it, and then I'm gonna sell it. So I fully understand that this is gonna feel like a depreciating asset. Like this is a car to destroy with a little toddler child. Like this is not gonna be the nicest car that I'll ever drive. And I also didn't want to worry about like needing to keep it clean or needing to keep the leather nice. And yeah, who cares? Like in this phase of my life, I just want her to go crazy in the backseat and have a great time. Like who cares?
Wow, what a nice
And
mom.
so
I wasn't like that. I wasn't like that at all. I was like, get your hands off my leather.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, cars, I get it, and cars, I'm not a person who kind of whatever. I mean, I like cars, but I really don't care that much. And there's a certain like crazy expensive car. I just personally don't get it, especially live in a city. A, it's going to get stolen for sure, and B, you can't drive it anywhere anyway. But a car is a depreciating asset. However, if you're into cars, like I'm into handbags, that's your shtick, that's your thing, and you enjoy it. And if you've got money, go and buy yourself a nice car. You know, if that's your thing, and everyone has different things they're interested in. But
Just
a
don't be
car
car
isn't
poor. Don't be house
a
poor.
hundred
Don't be
percent.
car
Don't be
poor.
carpool. A car is never gonna make
Yeah.
you money. Yeah, for sure.
It's an expensive
Yeah.
hobby.
Yeah. I mean, being
Yeah.
house poor is better than being car poor. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
In the
unless
long
you're
run,
investing in like old timers or you're really, know what you're doing. I
you
mean,
never get the money back.
No.
it's unlikely.
And
It's
then
very risky.
yeah, and buying cars is so difficult with like riding it off and stuff, especially here. It's just a total nightmare with like gas and stuff. It's just like
And if you love
it's
cars, like the thing that I love to do is when I'm renting a car, I'll get the nice SUV. I'll get the big thing.
yeah.
It's just my everyday car. I like to have something. I like to be comfortable, but I'm not going to drive around in like a Porsche or something. That's what
Mhm.
I'll rent when I'm
Not
on
yet.
vacation. And so it might seem like quite expensive to be like, oh, I'm going to go rent that car instead of the little,
Yeah.
whatever it is. But you can still treat yourself to wonderful experiences. Just to make sure that it's not at the expense of your well-being. Like
Yeah.
if you're just a little creative and if you really know what matters to you, you can pretty much have anything. If you're just willing to like work it out a little bit, like do just a little more research. If you want to drive a baller car, maybe you can do a car share. Like there's an app in Germany, it's called Virtuo, and it's in pretty much all the big cities like London, and Paris, and they have baller cars, like very, very, very nice cars. And you can just use your app, unlock the car, and just start driving. And so it's like a car share with like extremely luxurious cars. So it's like, that works for me, but I don't have to own it. I don't have to take care of it. And I
Yeah.
can just
Yeah.
drive my regular car in my everyday life. So sometimes the question is also, do you love yourself enough to really, work out the details until they fit for you?
Yeah.
Or are you somebody who just jumps in right away and is like, well, I guess that's just how it goes, or I guess it's just the price to pay, or I guess you can't like have a say in this. Whenever my clients say that, I always say, you're just not being creative enough.
Mhm.
Let's just take a moment here because you're about to make a choice that somehow doesn't feel good. And I have a feeling that if we just do more research, if we just take a little more time, we can find a solution that really works for you, that gives you everything that you want if we're just willing to be a little more creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a very sensible answer.
Yes. Um, we have one last question that we ask all of our lovely guests who come onto our pod. And it's just really in the spirit of sharing truths today. What is one truth that you would share to your younger self? To do with money or to not do with money, whatever you think you would share.
Oh, what comes to mind is you can be introverted and so confused and so scared and feel so lost in the world, and you can still be a success. Like you can be such a mess and you can still walk a really great path for yourself.
I like
Love
that.
that.
That's
That's
nice.
sweet. I think that's so true. It's
It is
just
true.
like it's we're all I think
Believe in yourself.
we're all figuring it out. I think that's what we don't understand when we're young is that adults actually have no idea what they're doing a lot of the time. And we actually are just all figuring it out as we go along.
Mhm.
It's
And I think that has to do with
terrifying.
money. It has to do with everything. So
Mhm.
I love that. I love that you brought that up. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for your
thank you so much,
time.
Hannah.
It's nice to speak to you.
So nice to talk to you. And we might have you back on. Maybe our audience will have some questions and we can like go through the questions more specifically with their money issues or any money questions they have. And yeah, we'd be so happy to have you back on. So thank you so
I'd
much
be
for taking the time
honored.
with us.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you. Of course. And maybe just remind everyone where they can find you on the Instas and the TikToks and whatever else you're on here.
Yeah. On Instagram, my handle is Hanna Money Bliss. That's HANNA Money Bliss. And then my website is hannabier.com. That's HANNABIER.com. My book is called Wealth from Within.
Amazing. And you
Perfect.
can get that on Amazon, guys. So
And we'll link it everywhere.
we
in the
absolutely
socials
will.
and everything. Yeah.
Thank you, Hannah. We will talk to you soon. Amazing speaking to you. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much. We'll be in touch very soon.
And enjoy Gracie and her Legos. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank
That's so
you.
sweet. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. Please rate and review this podcast and follow us on social at Sharing My Truth Pod and leave us a voicemail on our website, sharingmytruth.com, to share your stories and experiences with us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.